right, Chase, so getting right into it. Like I mentioned, setup is going to be really, really important. So with that iron shot that went into the pond, we saw just overall, you were getting really close. The feet were out to the right, and shoulders and hips were kind of square to that, but you're aiming out over here, and the ball position's back. So the setup is going to be a really, really important thing. I think that's what's causing a lot of your issues. When you get the ball position back and you get aiming right, especially with your tendency seems to be chunks, hitting it a little bit fat, the idea of putting the golf ball back kind of makes sense to our brain because it's like, oh, if it's further back, I can get the club to the ball first and hit ball first instead of the ground. But at the same time, when we over-exaggerate it too much, that causes us to also kind of fall back to try to help it into the air. These hands are getting not a lot of forward shaft lean, and it's almost creating kind of a scoop through the ball, which is why you're chunking a lot of it. And then same thing when you get aiming right, you almost have to have some fallback, try to throw the hands in the face at it to square it back up and get it on line. So a huge thing, especially if you're out on the range, is get one club or an alignment stick if you have one is even better. Down your target line, really make sure you're lining it up how you want it. Even draw a parallel line from the golf ball, make sure those are even going right to your target. And then also putting another, so you'll have this one down here, right? And then let me try to get some other object. This is a small, one of my nephew's tiny clubs, but another alignment stick or another club lined up with the golf ball somewhere in here for your ball position. So right now you kind of be close to this and the ball would be back somewhere in here. So the feel for you is going to be more open, and then we want this extra alignment stick or club to be at least in the middle of your feet with an iron. With a driver, like I mentioned in the video, we want it here off the left heel. Wedges somewhat pretty much straight in the middle. 8-iron just forward a middle, so those are kind of checkpoints, like mid-irons just forward a middle, long irons a little bit more, driver off the left heel, wedges kind of right in the center of the stance. But setup is going to be so huge because I think that's what's causing a lot of your tendencies in your golf swing. Again, closed and ball back causes some hands to throw a little bit of back up to try to help the golf ball into the air. So ball more forward and just everything more open, feeling like this left foot is dropped back. And I think that'll just square you up in general. I don't think you'll have to feel anything with the upper body. If you can get the feet down, then just feeling like everything is square to those is going to be great. And the ball being more forward will help you with that automatically. Another thing that I think is going to be helpful, this is a really good drill. Hooking this left hand behind your trail elbow, just like this. And then just hitting some pitch shots on the range. Like if you're warming up for a round, do some stretching, whatever it is, grab a wedge or a short iron, and hit 10 shots like this. Just feeling nice pitch shots. You can start to make the swing bigger as you want it. But with this, you can see it helps keep that right arm nice and in front and folded. And then from the face on too, it's going to create more width for you. There's no real way with this thing hooking you in. There's no way for the arms to get up and behind you, kind of like we saw. You're a little bit cramped, whereas Adam Scott had a ton of width here, which makes it so much easier to get these arms down in front, even get them more forward. Another thing too is when you have this hand hooked behind that trail elbow, it almost forces this arm down and in front and really helps you get that forward shaft lean. Instead of kind of like we're seeing with you, there's no real way for this action to happen because you have this hooked in front to get that arm working more this way instead of this way, right? So that drill is going to be awesome. Then I'd love to see too some just pump drills. Again, when you're on the range, you can kind of do this at the start after hitting a few pitch shots. With this drill, you can get in and really feeling as though you get to the top and then pump this here. Rehearsals here. So just to demonstrate, it'll be top, 1, 2, and then hit it. It's probably going to be tough at first, just like getting the hand-eye coordination down, but as you get the hang of it and start to see some flush golf shots, that'll be super helpful. And then just to demonstrate from the face on, right, the feel is really going to be holding this angle so you can see when the club's parallel with the ground, it's almost a right angle between my right arm and the club. Right now, you were looking a little bit like this, more obtuse, so the feel is really going to be hands forward with the pump, hands forward with the pump, and then go. And that's just going to ingrain into your brain more of this move instead of this move, right? So really getting that feel is going to be good. And then just like a ton of punch shots. Again, not by putting the golf ball back in your setup, still keeping it forward, but again, like mid-irons, hitting a ton of shots, kind of with that Tommy Fleetwood sawed-off finish, and trying to get that ball to come out of a nice low window is going to be super helpful, because in order to do that, in order to hit a punch shot, these hands got to be forward. And then finishing here, the hands have to be more on that left thigh and less on the right thigh like you saw. And then just to demonstrate it from the face on, the punches will look a lot like this, like a hold-off finish, really trying to keep those hands forward. So I think those are really, really good checkpoints. And then definitely when you see this, let me know your practice schedule, how many times a week you're playing and stuff, and we can try to build out a little bit of a plan. I think it'd be good to give you, I think just that in itself for a little bit of a range session, doing those drills for a little bit right before you hit some shots to give you those feels, it's going to be awesome. And especially the stuff with the setup, can't emphasize that enough. That is by far the most important thing that we need to kind of check in on, because I think that's a tendency of yours to get closed and fall back. But we can build out just like a couple chipping drills, even if it's for like 5-10 minutes, have you hit some different shots around the green to improve there, and then putting drills as well. Just give you a couple things to just help you work on each facet of the game. I think would be super helpful, like speed control drills with putting, 3-foot drills, and just kind of help you warm up for a round and just build a little bit more of a practice plan to help each aspect of your game, especially now with those stats. It's going to be awesome. So definitely looking forward to hearing your feedback on all the mechanical stuff, but also I'd love to hear just your practice playing schedule so we can build a little bit of a plan too. So I'll look forward to hearing back from you. Thanks.